Hi guys, welcome back. This video here is in fact about how I battled the school system. Um, 2019, my youngest son ended up going to school, and it was the same school that my third son went to. And back then he was in kindergarten and he was on a 5th grade education level, and the principal then, instead of her skipping him up, she actually detained him and held him back so he couldn't learn to his fullest potential and be his higher self. So she actually kind of like stunned his mental growth, and by the time he was in the 1st grade, he was on a 6th grade level. And when I informed her of that, she was like, "Who told you that?" And I was like, "His teacher told me that, you held him back. You should see how he's elevating, for being childish." And he wasn't childish, but had you put the work in front of him that he didn't know, he would sit there and learn it instead of walking around the class, because he was not running around the class nor disturbing. He was just always the first one done in class with his work, because he was, just very advanced and he was on a genius level. So, and back then I couldn't get into the junior school that called me. So, he just had to deal with the school system. And on top of that, my youngest son ended up attending that school as well. And I was informing them that, hey, he suffered from a lot of anxiety, from me not being home, from his father not being home, from, imperfections within himself, and other children make fun of him, So if he can be in smaller classes, or we could get him a shoulder salt vest or a yoga chair where he kick his feet in, it'll keep him in a seat. Or if, any mentors could just come to the school and take him out of class for 30 minutes to make him feel special, to play basketball with him, or have a talk with him to see how his day doing. Or if the principal can at least let him pass out papers, and, just things that can help him feels like he's included, and that could calm his anxiety. But they really didn't have things like that anymore, and which caused a bigger problem, because my son suffered being in big classrooms around those children, because he really come from a big family. So it bothered him to be around a lot of children too, and he's the youngest of a lot of children. So, he just liked his peace. And although he liked his peace, they weren't helpful to give it to me. So 2019, first day of 3rd grade, he was having a problem going to class, being around children. I could never get him to go to recreational centers or anything, because he just wasn't comfortable. He was just very a loner. And so he went to school the first day of 3rd grade, and I was having problems with getting him in a classroom, and the principal seen it. So he was like, "I got him, you could go ahead." So I was like, okay. Then I get a call. So I was like, I'm gonna take him back, because if I take him to the bathroom, you guys gonna get mad. So I'd rather take him home and just let him cool off, and we'll start off tomorrow, because I kind of knew he was not going to want to go to class. And so the principal was like, "Nah, there's nonsense. You keep him here, and you can take him to the bathroom if you want." So of course I took him to the bathroom, gave him that mother talk. "Son, you're not gonna do this today. You're gonna get your butt in that class, or you coming home." And he was just looking like, "I don't care." And I was like, "Come on, that's it. You went home." So the principal was like, "No." By the time I made it to like the 3rd time, the principal calls me and said, "Well, I called the police on your son." I said, "Why would you do that?" He said, "Because he physically touched me." I said, "What?" He was like, "He didn't hit me or he didn't harm me, but since he's a child, he is not allowed to physically touch me or any teachers, staff members in that area." So I was like, wow, so you're going to call the police on him for just touching you. Why did he touch you? And you know, he was like, because I seen he had an attitude going into class, so I stood in front of him and he told me to move, and I told him no. And I said, well, if he asked you, you know, to move, why when you move, why would you stand in front of him if you knew he was upset? You know, instead of saying, hey, can I talk to you, and walk down the hallway with you, and you know, things like that. Well, the principal didn't have an answer for that. Instead, his answer was to kick my son out of school for 180 days, recommended expulsion the first day of school. And I was like, no, that's not fair. You cannot do this to me. And I went to the board and I fought just like I fought at the Board of Education with my other son when they held him back. And the Board of Education told me that the principal can hold my son back without my consent, even if I didn't agree and he was on a higher level. So this time, the principal kicked my son out, my other son out, and I went in front of the school board instead of the Board of Education and explain, hey, no third grader can just go this long without learning. How will his brain function, right? Like, you know, he will forget things. This is not safe. This is not healthy. How about he just be in smaller classes? Like, you know, I requested, and I end up going through a lot of board meetings, 2.5-hour long meetings, never missing a beat, therapy, everything that I can do. I was going through these meetings to just get, you know, more comfort in a situation. And although the school board agreed, you know, you're right, we're gonna let him back in. So I go to all these therapies, all these school counselings, and you know, just board meetings with the teachers, the principals, and the staff, you know, like the therapists. And we come to the conclusion we're gonna put him in small classes with other children who battle anxiety as well. They will get them out of class for a few hours, spend time with them, let them read books, let them color, and you know, just have classroom conversations among each other, and then send them back to class. So we was all excited until I'm at work, and the first day of my son's class, therapy class, the principal kicked him out 2.5 hours right before the class. So he never even got to experience the first day. And which caused me to just go to the school board like, hey, that's it, I surrender. If another school in this district allow my child to go, is that okay? And the principal said, yeah, as long as you find a school who will agree, which I found one. So excited. My son was so excited. He was meeting new friends, you know, meeting little girls. And we even went to, you know, school functions to try to help encourage him to be more comfortable around children, because we knew that was a struggle with him. And so everything was working good until the principal said, you know, they got a better schooling for your son that we want to put him in, because it got a whole weight room where he could go to these classes, and it got the yoga chair, it got the salt shoulder vest, it got everything that he need, and it's fully equipped for him with smaller classes. So it sounds very good, and he ended up going there. Well, it wasn't so good. You know, he experienced a lot of prejudice and racism, and I would tell him, you know, just for knowledge, certain things that other people do, you cannot do that, because you will get in trouble, and it's not fair that children, you know, could do these things that are not the same skin color as you. But, you know, if you do it, you're going to suffer a worse consequence than those other children. So you cannot do what other people do. Your job is to go to school, focus on you, and get your work done and go home. And, you know, although he didn't do anything wrong, because he got into a confrontation with a child because the child got the wrong math problem wrong, and my son corrected him. The child said, you're wrong. My child said, no, I'm right. And teacher agreed that my son was right, but she let them two go back and forth until it became an altercation instead of, I feel like she could have jumped in and said, hey, you're right, and acknowledge my son for being right, and told the other son, sometimes we just get the wrong answers, and it's okay to be wrong, because that's what helps us become a better person, learning from our mistakes, so you did nothing wrong either. Great job to both of them. And just tell my son, I'll handle it from here. Boom. But instead, she let it become a confrontation till they ended up fighting. And then there was another experience where a little boy who was non-colored had threw chocolate milk in my son's face and suspending him because he didn't calm down when he was told to calm down after a little boy threw milk in his face for standing up for a handicapped person, because he was bullying the handicapped person. And my son said, quit bullying him, and the little boy threw chocolate milk in his face. And although the principal said my son had a right to defend himself, she still suspended him because he didn't calm down when she told him to calm down. And I just like, how do he calm down when chocolate milk is thrown in his face as a mockery, when he defended a handicap? So at the end of the day, he should have never got in trouble for that. And one child even called him the N-word, and the teacher said that the little boy was going to get in trouble. And when my son found out that boy didn't serve any consequence, he came home in full depression, like, Mom, now the teacher saying like she didn't hear it and she heard it. Like, I can't believe she's saying she's not hearing him call me the N-word, and he didn't even get suspended. And I had to really tell him, son, these things are what some of us have to go through. It's not fair, and that's why I'm asking you to please just go to school, not really worry about other people, worry about yourself. Let the teacher handle her business and communicate with the students while you just focus on your work, And, although things like that was hard for him, because he was just like me, a very helpful person, wanted to do the right thing, but he ended up learning in that lesson. And last year they let my baby back in. He gave it his best. He used, instead of him becoming full of anxiety, he learned how to make friends. He learned how to use all of that knowledge and wisdom that he gained to be here intellectually. So he learned how to control himself. He learned how to make better choices. And when he could not get along with the teacher or with other students, he learned to call me right then and there, so he could tell me exactly what happened in front of the teacher and in front of that student, and I could talk to them both to, make them become friends again at the end of the day. So you guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys were inspired, and I'll be making another video about fighting the Juvenile Delinquent Center while going through this situation as well. But I wanted to make the video separate so you guys can get a better understanding of each video and each experience. Hope you guys were inspired. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment below, and tell me what you think. Thank you.